Phil Connors is a weatherman who gets stuck reliving the same day over and over until he stops being insufferable. Call it a spiritual metaphor about self-improvement, call it the most elaborate court-mandated therapy session in film history, or call it what it actually looks like, an HR wellness retreat that forgot to end. This is the story of how long it takes one man to take the hint. The movie opens with Phil Connors predicting, live on television, that an approaching blizzard is going to completely miss western Pennsylvania. Confident, on camera, completely wrong, as it turns out. Though he doesn't know that yet. Phil, along with his producer Rita Hansen and cameraman Larry, travels to Punxsutawney to cover the annual Groundhog Day festivals. An assignment he treats with the enthusiasm of someone being sent to cover a parking lot opening. Phil makes no effort to hide how much he hates all of it. The assignment, the town, the people in it, and treats the whole trip as a formality before the bigger job he's convinced is waiting for him elsewhere. He's not planning to remember any of this, which is going to become a problem. The next morning, Phil wakes up at the Cherry Street Inn to I Got You Babe, playing on the clock radio. Just an ordinary detail. Nobody in the room knows yet that this exact moment is about to happen several hundred more times. Phil does his broadcast on Punxsutawney Phil and the day's festives, going through the motions with the same buried contempt as the day before, having no idea yet that it is, in fact, the day before. The blizzard, he confidently predicted would miss the area, shows up anyway and shuts down the roads, trapping him in Punxsutawney overnight. The forecast that started the whole trip turns out to be the reason he can't leave it. Phil tries every possible way out and finds none of them working, so he ends up spending a second night at the Cherry Street Inn, with no idea it's about to be the same night as the first. Phil wakes up to I Got You Babe again. Same song, same time, same voice on the radio, saying the exact same things. It's February 2nd again, and this time he notices. He goes through the day convinced it's a déjà vu, a strange coincidence, a glitch in his own ad. Right up until the events keep matching exactly word for word, moment for moment, and déjà vu stops being a reasonable explanation. He wakes up to the same song, same voices, the same date. Any doubt he had left is gone. Phil Connors is stuck with living February 2nd, and there is no version of this morning where that stops being true. Phil tells Rita what's happening, expecting either disbelief or panic, and gets neither. She just sends him to a neurologist, which is the most reasonable response anyone in this movie has had to anything so far. The neurologist had no explanation. Neither does the psychiatrist Phil sees afterwards. Medicine and psychology both examine him and come up with nothing, which means whatever is happening to Phil doesn't have a name yet, and possibly never will. With no explanation and apparently no consequence of either, Phil starts drinking with two locals, Gus and Rolf, and the night ends with him leading a police on a high-speed chase through town before getting arrested. It's the first sign that Phil has figured out something the audience already suspects. None of this is going to matter tomorrow, because tomorrow isn't coming. Today just repeats. He wakes up at Cherry Street Inn. Same song, same day. The rest, like everything else, simply didn't happen. Phil settles into a routine of using the loop for exactly what you'd expect. Eating anything he wants, pursuing whoever he wants, taking whatever isn't nailed down. Because a day with no tomorrow is a day with no bills to pay. For a while, that's enough for him. He starts using what he's learned, who says what, when and where, to manipulate the day to his advantage, treating the entire town like a script he's already memorized and everyone else is reading for the first time. Phil's attention eventually lands on Rita, specifically. He starts using the loop to learn everything about her interests, her opinions, her exact preferences. Not to know her, but to build a version of himself she'd want. Each day gives him a new draft. Rita sees through it. Every carefully constructed answer, every suspiciously perfect coincidence, all of it. She tells him flatly that he doesn't actually know her. He's just gotten good at performing knowledge, which isn't the same thing, and she's not fooled by it. Something in Phil breaks after that. The manipulation stops working. The indulgence stops meaning anything. And what's left is a man who has now lived the same day an uncountable number of times with no way out, and, for the first time, no idea what to do with it. Phil tries to end the loop the only way he can think of, repeatedly, including one especially bleak attempt involving a cliff and Punxsutawney Phil, the groundhog. None of it works. He wakes up in the same bed, to the same song, on the same morning, no matter what he does. Death isn't an exit, it's just another version of the day. Phil tries something different with Rita, not performing anymore, just showing her. He starts predicting exactly what's about to happen, moment by moment, correctly, over and over, because at this point, faking it will take more effort than just proving it. Rita believes him, not because it makes sense, but because there's no other explanation left that fits what she's watching happen in front of her. She spends the rest of the day with him, which is the first time all movie Phil has gotten this far with their honesty. Rita suggests something Phil hasn't considered, that maybe the day isn't the punishment at all, just an unusually large amount of time to work with. It's the first reframe anyone's offered him, and it's the one that actually sticks. They spend the rest of the evening together before eventually falling asleep, and for the first time since this all started, Phil doesn't seem to be performing anything. Somewhere in the middle of all this, Phil's feelings for Rita stops being a strategy and start being real. Just a genuinely inconvenient time to develop actual feelings for someone who may not remember any of it tomorrow. He wakes up alone. Same song, same date. Rita is gone. Not because she left, but because none of yesterday happened, and it will never again. He'll eventually start taking hobbies the way a guy discovers self-improvement content during extremely long layover. Piano, ice sculpture, fluent French, whatever's in reach. Mastered somewhere in the space between one morning and the next. He starts catching a kid falling out of a tree, fixing a flat tire for a group of old women, saving a man from choking at dinner. All things that would have meant nothing to him 100 loops ago. Done now with the precision of someone who had endless practice and finally decided to use it for something. Phil finds an elderly homeless man on the street and tries to save him. Feeds him, gets him medical attention, tries everything he can think of. Loop after loop. The man dies anyway, every time. With nothing dramatic, just age and time catching up the way they eventually do to everyone. Phil learns something on this particular loop that has nothing to do with jokes. Some things, even with infinite chances, you don't get to fix. When it's time to broadcast again, Phil delivers it completely differently. Generally, thoughtfully, nothing like the content he walked in with hundreds of days ago. It's the first time all movie anyone noticed something about Phil that wasn't a complaint. Rita finds Phil at the piano, mid-performance, and while she watches, people around them kept mentioning things he's done. Quiet things, kind things, done for no audience and no credit. She's watching the version of Phil that existed the whole time this loop was happening, and hearing about it secondhand from people who have no idea how many times he said do it. At the town's charity bachelor auction, Rita bids on Phil herself, which is either genuinely romantic or the strangest possible way to confirm someone's changed, depending on how you look at it. Later that night, Phil shows her the ice sculpture he's carved of her, using a skill that took him what might have been years of days to learn. He tells her he's happy, loop or no loop, because of her. It's the first time in the entire film he's wanted something and meant it without an angle attached. They kiss, they go back to his room together, and for once nothing about the moment is calculated or rehearsed in Phil's part. Just two people who got here honestly, however strange the path was. Phil wakes up, Rita is still there. Not gone, not reset, still there. Which means yesterday actually happened. Which means it's February 3rd. Which means, after however many versions of the same day, it's finally, quietly, a new one. Phil checks, the radio confirms it. A different song, a different date. Loop is over. After God knows how many February seconds, the mirror exists again. And Phil gets to find out what that actually means. Phil tells Rita he wants to stay. Not escape back to some bigger job. Not treat this town as a formality anymore. But actually live there, with her. The same place he spent hundreds of days despising is the one he's now choosing on purpose. Turns out it wasn't spiritual growth, wasn't therapy. And it definitely wasn't HR's idea. It was just the world's longest onboarding process for one guy, one town, and one weather girl. Took him a few thousand tries, but Phil Connors finally clocked in. Phil spent hundreds of days trying to escape one. An entire planet builds a place specifically so nobody ever has to leave. Well, yeah, that wraps up that awfully long movie. Hope you enjoyed and let me know what movie you want to see in the future. Alright, that's it for now. If you like this disaster of a recap, feel free to click some buttons, or don't. I'm not your dad, so that YouTube knows that my videos are worth watching. Thanks again, and see you in the next one. Bye!